so I had my interview online, and the lecturer, who is now the module leader, she, like, after the interview was just like, oh, have you seen the campus, or have you seen, like, the fashion rooms, have you been to the YouTube channel and stuff? And I was like, no, I haven't seen it yet. And she was just like, oh, are you excited, do you want to see it? And I was like, yes, please. And she just literally got up with her laptop, turned the laptop around, and she just walked through. She walked through the entire, like, corridor and stuff just to show me what it looks like.
Yeah.
And I think just that act of kindness made me say, oh my God, I really want to be here.
Welcome back to Series D of the Student Connect podcast. I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Danny, and we're your hosts for today's episode.
This podcast is created in association with Staffordshire University and is hosted by your student content team.
It is a student-led podcast sharing the experiences of students progressing throughout university education and inviting experts from a variety of life topics.
In this series, we are exploring cultures to grow our understanding and deepen our knowledge about the diverse backgrounds that make up our community.
We want you to help shape this series, so if you'd like to join us as a guest, email us on comms@staffs.ac.uk or drop @staffsuni a DM on any form of social media.
Along the way, we will endeavour to share our honest stories, sometimes too honest, to help to educate and discover more about other cultures.
There may be some sensitive topics that are discussed. We feel that these are really important to share to help raise awareness of the issues that we go over.
If at any point we use incorrect terminology, please be rest assured that this is not meant to cause offence and we are just trying to educate ourselves.
So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Hello.
Hi.
Hey up, Duck.
Hey up, Duck.
She's got it now. You're right, Bab.
Yeah.
All right, Bab.
Bit brummy for you.
Yeah, it was. A little bit too much. It's my last episode.
Don't. I'll cry.
I'm holding back the tears. No, so and we're also graduating, Tiff.
I know.
We're growing up.
It's scary.
I know.
We're adulting.
I know we are. I know.
Oh. I don't like it.
How do you feel about graduation coming up?
Absolutely terrified, but
really?
So excited. Like,
good.
Because you know, it's a bit bittersweet. Like, I'm happy that it's all over. I've done this big achievement. I can go away, celebrate. But that means I'm entering into the real world, and that is not for me. Yeah,
it's almost like it's weird in a way because uni to me is like this, kind of like a second home. It's like really comfortable, and then you graduate, and then you're like, oh right. Yeah, and that's sort of what I'm realising at the moment. I'm like, okay, it is scary. It is scary, but I've made it this far.
You have done.
So
you should be proud.
Can't be too hard. How are
the final assignments going?
Yeah, they're all right. This handed in the other day. I've got one more thing, which is a presentation, and then at the end, so that's in 2 weeks' time, and then at the end of that week, I go away to Indonesia for 4 whole weeks, which you get to see on our social media. So make sure you stay tuned.
That's going to be exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. I am unbelievably anxious. Shock, horror. All right, anyone surprised that I'm saying that, but I'm also really excited.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I've taken that uncomfortable step and just said, just go for it.
It's what you need, I think. You need to push yourself, especially because graduation's coming to the end, and of course you're entering like that world where it's you're going to be independent. That's pretty much thrown you into the deep end. So once you've done that,
I'm really looking forward to it. A lot of it's good as well because I'll be learning a lot of new cultures, and my mum keeps saying I'll come back as a different person, and I can see why she's saying that as well. Because obviously I keep telling her about my anxieties, and I think she's getting a bit like, Dan, just calm down. But no, it would be really good. So like we said, this is our penultimate episode together between me and Tiff. So Tiff, what's been one of your highlights of doing this together? What's one thing that you've gained?
Definitely confidence. And like I remember the first time I did like the episode, I was like, oh my god, like really, really nervous. But now I just kind of like I come in, say hello, and it's nice and chill. Like that anxiety about it isn't there anymore.
We're really calm, I find. Like because I remember at first when I did mine with Alex, and I just remember I said like one or two things here or there, and the problem was I was just overthinking what to say. Whereas now, I don't even think about what I'm going to say half the time. I just say it, provided if it's, within reason. But
and I think as well, like the confidence even if like it's not as noticeable on the podcast, but outside of the podcast, like when it comes to doing other things like interviewing people or just speaking to people and networking, I've skyrocketed in that end.
Good,
so.
It's like personal and professional development. Yeah, that's good.
But of course, because it's your last episode, I want to know if there's like, what are your highlights? Is there like a funny moment or anything that you'll never forget?
Funny moment. There's quite a few, to be fair. I mean, just when we've obviously started filming like with video, like some of the people like in the background. Yeah. There was one where it was one of the first recorded ones we did. And just the guy just came past and just started laughing. And I was like, okay then. And it's like the lawnmowers, and then like I said about the episode with the Spitfire, they're just a school group just coming. But yeah, like I said, I've enjoyed every minute of it, and the reason why I became a content creator was to put myself in them uncomfortable situations, because I didn't like seeing myself on camera, I didn't like to be filmed, I didn't like any of that, like public speaking really, and like now I'll do anything. And if I get paid, it's even better.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's sort of one of the reasons why I did it. And like now, I know that I've come on very far, and I'm glad I've done this.
Yeah. I've got I said funny moments, but you didn't say the one I thought you were going to say, because my funny moment of yours is when we were at the track field for your episode as a guest, and you kept getting attacked by that fly.
Yes, I got attacked by a fly.
Because I was trying my hardest to like keep it going, but every time I spoke, it came back, and you were like.
He was out to get me. He was out to get me, but that was a good episode, to be fair. It was, yeah. And I like to say, but that's the other thing as well. This podcast been given the opportunity to talk about my own experiences as well, which is really good. And I've learned so much off like just so many different people, and then I still see them people around campus, and like it's good because you just I love to learn about other people, and like their experiences, and that this podcast is perfect because it gives you that opportunity.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
With the podcast, reviews are very, very important. In fact, they are quite key.
They are.
So we want you viewers, or listeners, we can't discriminate.
See?
Viewers, listeners.
I always forget the viewers, you always forget the listeners. It's how
we'd really love to know what you think. If you're listening on Spotify and Apple, please rate our podcast.
Please.
And if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment about anything that you've enjoyed so far about the podcast.
Yes, so in this series, we are sharing with some awesome places across Staffordshire as we discover more about cultures and backgrounds from our community.
Today, we are at Guru Nanak Gurdwara and Sikh Cultural Centre, situated in Stoke, just a short walk from campus.
And we're here today to chat with third-year fashion student and content creator Nunika about Indian culture and being brought up with Sikh influence in her life. So let's let Nunika explain a bit more.
Okay, so Nunika, welcome to the podcast as a guest. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. First of all, thank you. I'm an international student. I study fashion, as you guys already mentioned, a part of the graduating cohort amongst all of us, which is really, really nerve-wracking because, we're all getting to the finish line now, aren't we? And I'm Indian, which is why we're here.
Lovely, great, bro.
So we're here today at the Guru Nanak Gurdwara and Sikh Cultural Centre. Can you tell us a little bit about why we're here specifically?
So I am born and brought up with a family where my dad's side of the family is like Sikh and my mom's side of the family is Hindu. But my belief sort of lies a lot with the Sikh side of things, with the Gurdwara. So that's why we're here today.
Okay. So could you tell us a little bit more about your upbringing in India and what that was like?
Sure. I feel like I'm gonna disappoint my parents a lot when I say this, but we live in a massive family of 10 people, because they'll say that's not massive enough, but it is. It's a big family. And I live with like my cousins and stuff, so it's a nice little big group. It's a nice mix because everyone kind of has their own take on their faith, which is quite interesting, I think. Although my mom's Hindu, she believes a lot with a mix of both things, and she's been to Catholic school, so it brings in an entirely different perspective. And then with my dad, he believes more in the Sikh side of things, and although my uncle's also Sikh, he believes
Yeah.
more on the Hindu side of things.
Yeah.
So it's we're
Would you
quite
say
secular.
Would you say it's quite relaxed not relaxed, but like it's not such like put onto that it's either like follow this. Do you kind of get where I'm coming from? Like it's either this one or that one. It's kind of up to you to make your own choice with that.
Yeah,
That's sort of the right way to word it.
Yeah, definitely is. I think the cool thing about being at home is everyone kind of has just taken their own path with it. So I kind of do a mix of both, which my mom finds really interesting, and I have this conversation with her very often. Because I'll do some things that I follow out of Sikhism and some that I follow out of Hinduism. Yeah. And I think it's just the way I've kind of taken my lead on it, and my parents are okay with it, which is good, probably.
Yeah, that's really good. It's good that you can have your own sort of interpretation and feeling to it, because it makes it more personalised to you. So then my next question following up with that is, has that helped sort of like your belief of that and made it feel stronger because it's sort of you driving that in a way?
Yeah. I think it really helps because when you're the one that's sort of the driving force of what you believe in and you're kind of finding your own way with it, it becomes a lot easier to say what's wrong and what's right. And I think that's pretty controversial because with most religions there's a big conversation of this is the right thing to do and that's the wrong thing to do. Yeah. And when you're kind of following a mix and you're kind of making your own as you go, you kind of make your own rules.
Yeah. Nice. And so can you share some of the kind of cultural traditions or practices from Delhi that have had a significant impact on you? Like you say that like you explore a couple of different faiths. So do you adopt different traditions from each, or how does that work? Which ones are special to you?
So we kind of celebrate a mix of both things, which is interesting because like if dates don't clash, which is great, which is amazing because then it'd be a big problem. But we celebrate Diwali, like that's our big festival at home. We pray and we have a nice big feast and stuff. And we also like if there's a Sikh festival to say, would also celebrate that, like the Guru Nanak Jayanti, which is the birth of one of the gurus, and we go to the Gurdwara for it. So we kind of celebrate a nice little mix of both to say, and I think being here is an entirely different perspective that I've taken because I didn't realize some of the things aren't very common. So like with us, it's really normal to have, everyone has a temple in their house. Everyone has a tiny little mini like prayer section or a temple, and that's not something that's common here. And I didn't actually realize that up until I was asked to be on the podcast. And I was like, oh wait, like that's not a thing here at all, because you don't realize these things until you actually sit down and think about it.
Oh right, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's quite cool. Makes you think, doesn't it? Like again, like no, might want to elaborate on that, cheers, Dan. But like no, I mean like how did you mean like it was like surrounded like homes?
Yeah.
That's like how like everyone's homes is different to like their sort of like beliefs and upbringing. Do you know what I mean? Like that's quick, but like no, but like around the world it's all different.
Oh yeah.
You get where I'm coming from.
Yeah,
I'm not talking.
So.
Wow, not most of the time.
My brain's
yeah, sorry.
It's like it's a load of spinning.
For someone that's never been to Delhi like myself, or again like Tiff, or even like some of the viewers or listeners, can you sort of describe what it would be like if someone like us or viewers visited there? Like, what would it be like? And also, follow-up question, how does it differ to Stoke?
Okay, so I'll start with the first question. And if I had to describe it in like 2 keywords, it's very vibrant, it's busy, and I have to do a third, and that's the food's amazing. And I cannot just have to do that because it's not even a keyword, it's a full sentence. The food is incredible. I think that's the one thing that I miss most. Yeah. But the most incredible thing, and I think something that's very common between Stoke and Delhi, is the mutual respect for people, which isn't common across a lot of cities. And it's really cool that happens here. Like if you walk down the street, someone is gonna like say hello, and like there's a lot of mutual respect here, which I think is really cool.
Did you feel that like, because obviously have you been an international student and like when you moved to Stoke that you were like welcomed by like obviously like people that you obviously never spoke to before? Did you feel like welcomed?
See, that's really tricky because when I came, it was COVID, so I was locked in for quite a big amount of time. So when I did come out, and I'm quite very blessed that I'm a bit well travelled. So I kind of knew if I'm walking down the street and someone's smiling at me, it's okay, which isn't okay for a lot of other people. Like they don't realize if it's out of courtesy, if it's just kindness, or if they're gonna ask you something and you're just like tricky and left in that situation. Because I've met a couple of friends of mine who were in the UK for the first time ever, and they said, "Oh, we just walked down the street and someone smiled at us, and I didn't know what to do." And I was like, "Oh, what? Like, why are they smiling at me? Like, are they gonna ask me something? Are they gonna approach me after this? Why are they smiling at me?" But I think that's something that's very common as well. The common courtesy.
Yeah. Has someone called you duck yet?
Yes. Oh my god! Had the biggest shock of my life because I walked out and it was a cafe and I got my coffee and she said like. She said, "Is that all duck or something?" And I had to look to the right to my friend and just go, "Did she just call me duck?" And is that okay? And she said, "Yeah, it's the term of endearment, and you should be like happy that you've been called duck." And it happened quite late. Like I would be excited if it happened earlier. It happened quite late in my journey, and it hasn't happened enough. Now that
Stokies, we need to do
I'm
better.
graduating, I kind of
Stokies, we need to do better. I'm disappointed in us. But like, I think it's important. Like you talk about the experience, because obviously, like traveling internationally can be a big thing. But then to do that during like COVID and then having to obviously like move to a different country and then stay in, how challenging is that? Because like for someone like me, I would really like struggle with that. You don't have to if you don't want to. If it was like
no.
tough.
Like I always wanted to move. I knew I always wanted to move, and it was my dad who was kind of hard to convince. My mom was always on my side, which is fabulous. But yeah, with my dad, it was going to be a really big conversation, and with my dad, because my cousins are sort of like, I don't call my cousins my cousins. It's disrespectful. I call my cousins my brothers. So when I say that, for him, all four of us are just absolutely equal, and I'm the youngest one, so none of them have traveled. So he's just like, "Oh, you're the youngest one, you're the only girl, and you're gonna do this." And it's not a matter of looking down on you and you're going to do this. It's a matter of, I'm so concerned you're going to do this. So I did foundation at home for a year. And I did that to show my dad that I'm actually dedicated and I really love fashion. Like, I really want to do this. I got good grades, which is something that's very A+ in the Indian culture. If you get good grades, you're in the good books.
Yeah, that's good.
So once I got that sorted, I was like, oh, look, I've got good grades. I got an acceptance letter. It's just kind of happened. Like, I didn't even apply. I just got an acceptance letter. And he's just like, when did you apply? And I was like last summer. He's like, okay, we're gonna talk about this in a minute. And then things just kind of worked out. We sat and we talked, and he loved it, and he was like, I'm so happy you did what you did, and I'm so proud.
That's really good. That is. Are you glad you took that step?
I'm very glad. I would be a very different person if I didn't. And I'm not saying bad or good, but I think just better. I think I'm just better here.
That's really good. It's the Stokey effect.
And talking about your degree and education, obviously we said at the beginning that you study fashion. And so has your Indian heritage influenced your approach to fashion and design?
So for this year, actually, if I'm speaking very specifically, for my F&B, I chose to be inspired by my background, and I chose that as like the big thing that I want to do. I want to like bring that in. I want to bring the culture in. I want to talk about it. So for the dissertation, I wrote about the sari. So it was just how it's like evolved, where it comes from, the origins and stuff like that. Aced it, which I'm very proud.
Love to hear.
And then for the actual like final major project, which was my designed and constructed collection, I took inspiration from Indian wear. I took inspiration from the architecture, the culture, jewellery, all of that, and I kind of just brought it together and did my research based off of that. What I've made is something very Western, but I think that's who I'm trying to approach. I'm trying to approach the future. If that makes any sense.
That's cool. So has fashion always been sort of like a big, like sort of passion for you? Not to like make that rhyme. I didn't mean to do that, but you know what I mean. Because obviously like mine's obviously like teaching and physical education but for me that's been since like quite young. Would you say that's the same with you in terms of fashion? It's
very similar. I feel like I wouldn't know what else I wanted to do if I wasn't studying fashion. For a really long time I thought I'd wanna like study English and like, you know, be a writer or something. And I brought that up with my dad because I thought that'll get me, you know, good points in his book because I'll see something really like cool and stuff. And he was just like, okay, sure, like that's what you want to be. And like a month later, when I was like about to finish high school, I went back and I said, I actually want to do design. And he looked back and he said, well, I'm still happy. I don't know why you said, like, I don't know why you had to choose something else. Like, why do you have to choose something that's harder? And I was like, I don't know. I thought like that would get me good points. And he's like, no, just do what you want to do. And I was like, okay, cool. I want to study fashion.
Yeah.
And I've not looked back ever since, and I don't regret it.
Ran with it.
Yeah.
Would you say your family's been a really like core part of that like support and push for you to like, follow? Well, not follow, but go down that route of fashion.
Oh, extremely. I don't think I could have done it without any one of my family members, including the dogs.
Hey, the dogs are a big part. Dogs are a big part.
I've had support from everyone. But yeah, I like to this date, I will call my mom and dad every single day, just to say, even if it's just to say hello or just like do a quick rant of, oh, this didn't work out and I tried this and whatever. Like, but yeah, I make it a point, and I think that comes from the fact that there's a lot of support. Yeah. I know that if I fall back, there's someone holding my back at all times.
That's good.
And I think that's lovely. Which is that's the good thing about being in a family of 10 people. There's different people you go to for different things. So if you know you're like not doing too well on a macho, I know which brother to call because I know he hasn't done one in school. So I know that kind of support that I get. And then if I'm doing really well, I know which one to call because he gets it. So that's nice. I've got my pick from the world.
Nice little like safety blanket.
Yeah.
I love that. So, are there any misconceptions about Indian fashion or culture that you want to address for your work? Like, is there any kind of element of fashion and design that you want to use as like a platform?
I think one of the biggest things that are sort of misunderstood is the fact that Indian clothing is just limited to the sari. And I want to really expand on that. There's not just a sari, there's a lehenga, there's a sharara, there's way more, there's a suit. So there's way more than just a sari. But obviously I understand and respect the fact that that's the one that's popularized, and that's amazing, isn't it? Because it's across the world and now you see it everywhere. But I remember watching, I think, one of the shows, and the girl, she's trying to like address Indian wear, and she keeps saying sorry when she's wearing a lehenga, and I'm like, I'm so disappointed because I'm glad you're taking on the world and you're trying to like showcase Indian culture, but you're doing it the wrong way because you may as well teach them something right.
Rather than being apologetic about it. Be proud of it.
So, own it. That's the big one.
But that's good that you've recognised that and you're making that push for it. Because I mean, like taking that step of being different, it's massive. Like, and that applies to anything. Like yourself in that film and TV and radio. Taking them steps where you do something different. That's what makes you stand out compared to everyone else. Why be boring?
Be different. Put your own spin on things.
Be different, but be yourself.
Yeah, like I've just like finished editing my first ever short film, and even though it's got nothing to do with Birmingham, I've still put a Brummie spin on it. And then I've got a couple of other projects in mind, and even they've got a Brummie spin on it. And I haven't really thought about it that way at first, but then after I was thinking about it, I was like, let me just add in that bit of Birmingham in there.
It's just your creative language. It just comes through always, like, doesn't it? Like, your background somehow always influences your future.
100%.
And you kind of bring it in without even knowing, like it's almost subconscious after a point. And I think that's really
mental. Considering like us three do completely different things at university, but our like background and upbringing have played a massive part.
Definitely.
Like when I did my episode, a lot of like the impacts from teachers are the reason why I want to go into like teaching and like coaching, for example. And like you said, like with like your story, so
it makes an impact.
Yes. Massively. But like I said in the introduction, that's why it's important why we've got a podcast like this, so we can have like them discussions, isn't it? So,
get it all out there, out in the open.
Moving on. How has your Indian heritage influenced your approach to fashion and design?
See, that's a tricky one, because with the Indian background, I always feel within India there's several generations that kind of live together at once. And I say that because there's that really old generation who thinks showing skin is absolutely wrong and you shouldn't be doing that and you shouldn't be wearing anything Western. You should just be wearing Indian clothes. And then there's the generation after that who's doing a mix. Like they'd mix Indian wear with Western wear and they kind of wear a mix of stuff. And then there's generation after that who's, you know, wearing just Western wear, but they'll do Indian wear as their occasional wear clothing, which is me. So I think that it's really, really cool that you have that little mix. Yeah. So when I'm trying to approach it in my direction, I think it comes across as I'm still respecting what's happened in the past, and I'm still respecting that, but at the same point of time I'm trying to look at the future. So it's that changing the mentality and the mindset of people into saying that's okay and that's amazing, but this can be amazing too. It's just a matter of looking.
That's really good that you've like recognised that. I like that.
I suppose it's based on like keeping what you're comfortable with while also like having your beliefs respective. It's good to have a balance, and like religion is, even though it's a big community thing, it's very personal, so why not put your spin on it? So with your career and all of like your fashion elements, what are the aspirations? What do you want to achieve? Where do you want to end up?
I think it's about time I go back and say thank you for everything I've learned, and you know, just respect the culture that I've come from. So after I graduate, I'm planning to move back. I'm planning to start my own label, which I'm really excited about. And it's exciting. It's really exciting. But I think it's just nerves, isn't it? Because you're graduating and you're coming out of the educational sector now. Because I've been in that loop since forever, basically. This is the first time you're coming out of that loop. So it's weird because you're going to wake up and you're like, oh, I don't have classes anymore. What do I do?
This is what I was saying, just wasn't it? Like, it's crazy because obviously us three are all graduating, and like, I do see university at the moment as sort of like that comfort zone a little bit. Like, I like coming here. I don't like coming here. I love coming here. And soon that's not going to be the case. And like, I find it a bit hard to kind of grasp that. Like, even now, like, I mean, I graduated in like July, and like, in my mind, so I'm like, oh, I've got uni tomorrow. But eventually it won't be. I've got uni tomorrow. It'll be whatever I'm doing for my career. Like, do you two like resonate with that?
100%.
Well, I think I'm going straight into a master's, so I'm still a bit like, oh, I've got another year, but that year's going to be completely different.
I feel like that's going to be the closest to industry anyway, so you'll kind of get a taste of it, wouldn't you?
I bet that year will fly by.
It will, because this year's flown. And I know that one's going to be even quicker.
Because like that's the thing, like, obviously I've done a dissertation, and like I was thinking, like, oh, dissertation is going to take ages. Like, now I'm done. Like, it didn't feel that long at all. I mean, if you're one of them that leaves it to last minute, it probably does. But because I've been working on it for ages, like, it just felt like that. And like, I somewhat processed in my head that that's the biggest piece of work I've ever done, like, ever. And it's probably the piece of work that I put the most effort in out of any point in my education. And I haven't processed that still. And I think when I get my results, I'll then, because then I can reflect back on, well, my hard work's been paid off. Like, sort of get like where I'm coming from.
It's just a recognition of it, isn't it? It's like, oh, I did this much, and because it kind of equates to grades, and that's really hard to accept sometimes, because you're just like, oh, how has that equated to a grade?
I'm a stickler for that. Oh, it's so bad.
Yeah, it's really hard to accept that you're getting equated to like a number. But I think it gets easier as you go. Because you learn to like not take it as seriously. I'm not saying like, oh, don't ace it. But if you don't, just know you tried.
But
make sure you try.
Like. And I'm pretty sure with like degrees,
don't just give up.
With degrees, when you go through like employment and stuff, they'll never ask you for the number as long as you've got the degree. If I'm remembering correctly. The amount of like mentors and teachers that I've said to, like, I've been in sessions with, and they said the grade doesn't matter. But you know what, as long as you've got that degree, it will never come up in conversation.
You know what I think the main thing is though, like with like the degrees and stuff, it's what you get out of it.
Exactly.
That experience, that industry experience, the placements, the learning. I think that's the most important key part. Because obviously for mine, like, you know, doing like the projects that I do, doing the placements that I do, like the summer school over the summer, I've got so much out of that, and that's for doing this degree. If I didn't do this degree, I wouldn't have done that. And like I say, like the grades you might not look at, but when I tell them about them experiences, they're like, wow. And like, 100%. I don't know if that's the same for you two.
Definitely.
It's
extremely similar. Especially with like industry briefs and life projects and stuff you do and placement year, obviously, like, you come back around and you're like, oh, I learned so much, and then you can't equate it to a number. What you learned is just beyond. You can't put
you can't put
value on it.
You can't put a value on it to like just buy that experience in a way. I mean, I need a paid course for someone for some smart person comments it, but like, you get what I mean? Like, it's you don't get that anywhere else. I really don't think you get that anywhere else.
I think as well, because I feel like all our courses are really practical. Like the problem solving element of it, because we're so hands on. Sometimes it feels like we're in our job role, like career role anyway. So we've got that experience of not just like learning about it and having an idea of it, but it might not be work experience, but we have experienced it. We've experienced the challenges. So when it comes to the real world, we can say, oh my God, I'm running into this issue, but I've been here before. We can fix it this way. And you can't really get that anywhere else unless you've done it.
It's true.
One thing I did want to ask as well, like staying on sort of like that university topic, is why'd you pick staffs?
Oh, that's a big one. It kind of actually blends into that conversation of mutual respect and people being really, really kind. Because I had my interview online, obviously, unless I wanted to take like a 10-hour flight or anything. No, nothing like that. So I had my interview online, and the lecturer, who is now the module leader, she, like, after the interview was just like, oh, have you seen the campus, or have you seen like the fashion rooms, have you been to like the YouTube channel and stuff? And I was like, no, I haven't seen it yet. And she was just like, oh, are you excited, do you want to see it? And I was like, yes, please. And she just literally got up with her laptop, turned the laptop around, and she just walked through. She walked through the entire like corridor and stuff just to show me what it looks like. And I think just that act of kindness made me say, oh my God, I really want to be here. Because if she's teaching me, I know I'm in good hands. Because it's a lot about who's teaching you as well, I think, as much as it is the university, obviously, and the experience and stuff. But I think, I chose Stoke as well because I've lived in the city all my life, and I wanted like a slightly slower-paced area. I wanted that not busy, cars everywhere, just people yelling all the time kind of thing. And I just wanted some calm and quiet, and I don't regret it. I love it.
That's brilliant.
Your reason for choosing staffs reminds me of mine, actually, because I was in like the second wave, like COVID thing or whatever. So I couldn't attend an open day because I ended up having to isolate, and I was gutted. But they sent, like, was it the morning of or the day before, I had a parcel delivered from the uni, and I was like, why have I got a package? I haven't like ordered anything. And I opened it, and they sent out like these like virtual open day like parcels, and they had like a tea bag in it, coffee, milk sachet, a little biscuit. No oat cakes. That would
Staffs need to be better.
I would have got to Staffs a lot quicker if there were oat cakes. But and I just thought that is the kindest, like most thoughtful thing, because looking for unis during COVID it was just the worst thing. Not being able, like, having to do it from the comfort of your bedroom, and as soon as that parcel came in, I was like, that's quite cool.
But it's like them little things have stuck with you so much, because like, when you're talking about them, you could tell it's really has really stuck with you. And I suppose that's one of the good things that the uni have done there, that they sort of clocked on that these little things resonate, and they are really like, I suppose sort of swaying when you're making your decision. And like moving
bit
back
of a bribe, but it worked. It got me here.
It'd be even better bribe if there was some oat cakes. Just not. Of course the Stokey's parking all about oat cakes, but I'm just saying. I mean, it's swaying me. But like moving back onto like the Stoke part, and like how like obviously the city's a lot quieter. I think it's good because obviously like it's 6 towns as one city, and like each town's completely different really to the next. And it's nice. It's
nice and quiet.
And it's like nearly slap bang at middle of country as well. So like you can go anywhere.
You can travel.
You want to go Manchester? It's like an hour on the train, if that. Birmingham's close. Liverpool's close.
I think it's close.
Birmingham's 40. The longest train from here to Birmingham, now that they've changed the trains, is 48 minutes.
That is not long.
No,
not really.
Take a nap.
So it's real quick. Let's take it back to like the religious aspect. We're talking about Stoke a lot.
And oat cakes.
So I know we've already touched on about like the kind of mix of like traditions and things, but how were they observed in your household while you were growing up?
We celebrate a lot more of the Hindu festivals.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because they're actually quite loud. Because we have Holi, which is the colour festival of colours. And you just like, you've got dry colour powder basically, and you play around with it, and you just paint everyone. And it's meant to be like bright and happy. And the other one obviously is Diwali, which is celebrated a lot at Staffs as well. And you have fireworks and lights, and it's just meant to like ward off negativity because you're lighting up every corner and stuff.
That's good.
So yeah, I think the Hindu ones have been like celebrated a lot more in my house. For all of the Sikh ones, we make it a point to go to the Gurdwara, and like we'll take some food with us that we can like donate there or something like that. But it's a lot more quiet in terms of celebration. Like it's a more peaceful celebration, and I think the Hindu ones are they're more fun. Personally, I enjoy it. I like the playing around and the messing about and stuff.
I love that.
That's cool. Have you has there been a good sense of like community? Yeah, like at Staffs in regards to like celebrating them festivals, would you say?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think it's because I found my little like circle of international friends that I can turn back around and just be like, oh, by the way, this is Diwali, and like they're not all Indian, so it's even more fun because then I'm like teaching them a little bit, and like I've started celebrating Eid now because my best friend's Muslim, and like she celebrates it obviously every time, so we make a big feast, and like when Diwali comes around, she'll come home and she's like, oh my god, I got tea lights, so we celebrate and stuff. So it's amazing. It's a really like, it's a very wholesome feeling, isn't it? Because you're turning back around, you're learning so much, and see, something like that wouldn't happen if you're stuck at home and you're not traveling.
Exactly.
So make the move.
That's the other thing with uni, because like it's getting to know people that are not on your course. I think is one of the big parts. Because it's all right, obviously keeping to just your course, but I found that when I've spoken to people that from like a load of different courses, like you learn a lot, and they want to learn off you and you can learn off them, and like it's massive. And I think like as a stay-at-home student, that's one thing I've sort of like I've sort of missed out on, because I think if I stayed in student accommodation, I'd be able to learn off like my housemates' different like courses and stuff like that.
I'm the same, but I mean, I know I'm not a stay-at-home because I am, but I commute. But that commuting, especially first year, took up such a large amount of time, like getting to uni, going home from uni, that I didn't really go to any like events. I didn't really go to nights out, so I didn't really meet people. And I have massive respect for you being an international student, because I couldn't even move away from Birmingham.
I'm still in the same area where the university is.
So I've got a huge respect for you for making that jump, because
we try. See, we all try in our own ways. Like, it doesn't have to be that big move, but the fact that you still chose Stoke, didn't you? And you still take that time out, and you travel and you come and you take your classes and you meet your friends, and that's still hard.
Yeah, it's just about it that way, to be fair.
Yeah,
give yourself some slack
too.
Thank you.
Have you sort of faced any like challenges or barriers surrounding your like beliefs? I mean, that can be like any point in time.
Yeah, I don't really think it's a lot of challenges. I think it's been quite smooth sailing. I think it's just a matter of educating people about that.
Yeah.
Because especially when you move, I think culture shocks are obviously massive. Like, we have this really crazy thing where you don't really touch people's shoes out of respect. Like, if you're doing it as a kind gesture, basically. But like, I'm not allowed to touch my dad's shoes because he says you're disrespecting me by touching my shoes. Because with us, in our culture, you touch people's feet when you're greeting them. Which is meant to be the sign of respect. So if you're picking up people's shoes, it's it's a respectful move to do, but then I'd feel disrespected because you're picking up my shoes. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Because I'm younger and like, oh, please don't pick up my shoes. So I was out on placement, and like where I was working, you were meant to take your shoes outside, and this one day the girls, like, they just kind of picked up my shoes and they brought them in, and I was like, oh my god, you didn't have to, and I went like for a good like 5 minutes. She's like, it's just shoes, like what's the big deal? And I was like, I need to explain that. And like, it clicks in a second, doesn't it? That that's not normal anymore. And not that it's not normal, but it's just the fact that people don't actually know about this. So I sat there and I was like, okay, so with our culture, what happens is, if you pick up people's shoes, you like you're doing it as a sign of respect. So if I pick people's
yeah.
shoes, it's like a good thing because I'm doing it out of respect.
Yeah.
But the person whose shoes you have picked, they might feel disrespected, just going, oh my God, please don't pick up my shoes because I'm young.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's I think it's more of the culture shock aspect that kind of kicks in a lot of the times, and I go into the full gear of, oh my God, don't do that, not realizing the other person doesn't really understand why.
Yeah.
And that is what I've learned over time, to like explain myself and to teach people that, oh, this is why you're not doing it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go on.
I was just going to say, because with you saying that, I'm now thinking, like, I'm intrigued to think, like, I'm intrigued to, like, know, has there been times where I've done something without realising, where the other person's just politely, like, gone with it, but been a bit like, oh, that's not, I don't feel comfortable with like that. Because obviously I've never been corrected on anything.
Yeah.
And so it just makes me think now, like, I wonder if there has been a time where, you know, I've done something that's been...
See, if it's big enough, people will speak up. So if you haven't been corrected, that means you're in the good book. Like,
but then again, on the other hand, I want to know, because, like, I think people should be okay to just, like, have that little bit of a high, like, this is my standpoint, this is why, because I'd love that, because I love learning, and so I'd be really comfortable with that.
And as long as you're open to being educated and not ignorant about it and be like, oh yeah, whatever. I mean, like, even like with their reactions saying like, oh, what's the big deal? Like, in my head, I'm like, how would you respond like that, rather than just turn around and say like, oh, how come you've reacted like that? You know, it's like just little things like that make it just come across a bit better. I don't know if you'd like agree with that.
Yeah. I think it's just a matter of, if you're teaching it to say it. You're not teaching it to preach it. You're not teaching it to say, oh my God, from tomorrow on you need to follow this. You're teaching it for the sake of letting people know it's knowledge, you're passing it on, and then what the other person wants to do with it is their choice.
Definitely.
So I think that's the bit that everyone needs to just accept and work with, that if I've passed my knowledge on, I've done my bit. I can't follow you around and be like, oh, but are you doing that or not?
That's just we're running out of time now, so if we ask one more question. You mentioned earlier about how the food's great.
Yes.
What is your favourite dish, food, meal, anything?
My most favourite thing ever in the world is butter chicken and garlic naan. And let me disappoint everyone in the UK and say naan here does not taste the same. Naan is meant to be soft and crunchy still. It's meant to be really, really crisp. Like, if you hold it in your arms and, like, not arms, hands. You hold it in your arms like this. Just give it a nice hug. If you hold it in your hands and you crush it, it should just crush, like, beautifully.
Okay.
So, just listen to me talk about this. Like, it's such passion. That's definitely my favourite thing.
Can see why I'm like that with oat cakes now.
I want to try some proper naan.
Yeah.
Do you call it naan or naan?
Naan.
What is the correct way?
Naan.
Naan. Okay.
The A. We say really heavy A's. Hi guys. So I'm sitting here with Amrik at the Gurdwara, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the community kitchen.
Hi, right, okay. Every Gurdwara has a community kitchen, a langar kitchen basically. We serve langar food to anybody who comes to the Gurdwara. It's a concept which is started by our first Guru, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and it's been carried on since. Anybody can come to the Gurdwara regardless of race, religion, etc. And everybody is served a meal. And we have our kitchen here. We probably serve a couple of thousand meals a week. But some of the bigger Gurdwara, when you go to India, right, they probably do tens of thousands of meals in a day. All the seva, which is service, all the service is provided voluntarily by the people attending the Gurdwara. Whether it's men, women, anybody, children, anybody can offer their service. It's all voluntary, and hopefully people feel good about doing it afterwards.
I've had the fondest memory in my childhood of going to the Gurdwara and like helping in the kitchen.
Yes.
In the back with my parents and stuff. So it was lovely.
Well, the other good thing is that it also gives it an opportunity for the younger generation to learn skills off the older generation, because they'll be working together, they interact together, and you can pass skills from one generation to another.
Fabulous. Thank you so much.
I hope people enjoy it and they get some spiritual enlightenment out of it as well.
Amazing. That sounds amazing. Make sure you come by the Gurdwara for some langar, which is food.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank
I
you.
really enjoyed it. It's been dead nice.
It's been really good. It's been really good.
Thank you guys. It's been lovely. I'm so happy as well because it's like the final one. Like,
Yeah.
how are you guys
You've
feeling?
gone,
'Cause, like,
I was about to say, Danny, you've gone very quiet.
Yeah.
I have gone
it's got
quiet.
emotional.
Holding back the tear. No, I'm all right, really. Yeah. Done it all.
It's
Are
just
you
got
crying?
I'm not crying. It's just got very serious, isn't it?
Oh no, it's not serious. It's never been serious.
No.
I haven't been serious since day one. Well, I mean, it has for production quality, but not us. Shall we wrap it up?
Yeah.
Let's wrap it
up.
Oh.
Thank you so much to Nunika for joining us as a guest today.
Thank you.
Don't look at me.
I'm not that link anymore. Gosh, sorry. Right.
Right, and of course,
that's it.
as it's his last episode with us, a huge thank you to Danny for being a great co-host
Yes.
for this series and the other series we did.
I tried my best.
It's been a pleasure.
Not many people say that, so thanks.
No, you're doing really, really well.
Oh, I appreciate
You're
that. I
so
appreciate
comfortable and it's amazing.
appreciate
Yeah.
Thank you to the Staffordshire University Media Centre podcast producers and production editing team. We quite literally, could not do it without any of you. So from me, more specifically, a massive thank you for all the support you've given me throughout my time on this podcast.
And of course, a massive thank you to the Gurdwara for welcoming us today. It's been wonderful.
If you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, then please send us a direct message on any form of social media.
To find further support at university, you can visit staffs.ac.uk or your Student Connect team.
Don't forget to tell us what you think about the podcast so far. Please leave a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or leave a thumbs up, a comment if you're watching on YouTube. I've just got goosebumps because for the very last time on this podcast, I'm saying goodbye. I've literally got goosebumps.
Yeah, I'll see you all next time. But yeah, Danny,
Yeah.
it's been wonderful.
Taradok. There you go.
Arrivederci. Bye.
Bye. Ciao. See you later.